Treasure Quest. Chapter 1. Setting Sail. It is a sunny morning. October 17, 2033. Isabella Green approaches Captain Ethan. She paces around the room, her hands clasped firmly to her chest. Captain Ethan, I have the funds for the voyage now. We can set sail and begin our quest for Queen. Queen? Who is Kay? Captain could not finish his question. He meets a stare from Isabella, who is not the least amused by his lack of knowledge. Queen is the legendary treasure trove we have been dreaming about since our childhoods, Isabella explains with a hint of awe in her voice. And if you play your cards right, I am sure we will get our hands on it. But something is hidden in her voice. She is worried about how they will make it through the raging seas and survive the wrath of Olivia Cooper, the notorious pirate captain. Their destination is 3,400 miles northwest, and danger awaits them there. Captain Ethan makes up his mind in a second. He takes a deep breath and signals with his hands, well then. Let's get this show on the road. The crew jumps in joy as they all make their way to the ship. With laughter and cheerfulness ringing through the air, they set sail toward their destination. The adventure has just begun. Will the brave crew of Captain Ethan Miller make it through their quest? Will they manage to get their hands on Queen? Keep watching and find out. Chapter 2. Stormy Seas Ahead. It was a cool morning, despite the bright morning sun. The sea seemed calm and peaceful. Everyone was happy about the onset of their journey. They were chatting, vibing, and excited about the challenges ahead of them. No one noticed when a cloud appeared on the horizon, and within minutes it was already covering the entire expanse above the ocean. Suddenly, there was a roar as the lightning began to strike and the thunder reverberated through the air. The crew was now in a panic. They had never seen a horrendous event as such. They knew things would get worse if they stayed there. Captain Ethan ordered them to take the ship to the west, away from the stormy waters. Although it was difficult, they maneuvered their way through the waves and eventually got to calm waters again. However, this time, they were already 31 degrees off the bearing, and they had cruised for 300 miles. That detoured them from their original course. From their location, it would take another 3 days of traveling to get back on track. But they had no idea that a greater menace was waiting ahead of them. They chose to follow a shortcut through the Black Sea and ended up amid Olivia Cooper's domain. The team of adventurers was now stuck between the raging sea and a ruthless pirate captain. How will they make it out? Will they be able to get their hands on Queen? Keep watching to find out. Chapter 3. Enemy Encounters. Miller grabbed his binoculars and scanned the horizon. He was looking for Olivia Cooper's ship, but there was no sign of it yet. He sighed in relief, but his heart skipped a beat when he saw the silhouette of a sailboat on the horizon. He informed the crew, who quickly got into action and armed themselves with cannons and guns. They had no idea who was approaching them, but they were ready to fight if need be. But as they got nearer, they realized that it was only a merchant ship. The captain of the ship, Guillermo Mendoza, was a friendly old man who was more than happy to lend help. He informed them about Olivia Cooper and warned them against going to her domain. Captain Ethan thanked him for his warning and asked him if he had an idea for getting out of their current situation. They never wanted trouble, and Captain Ethan was determined to keep his crew and ship safe. Guillermo suggested that they could pass through a shortcut through the Flaming Islands, an area between the Black Sea and the Indian Ocean. His suggestion seemed like a great idea, and so they decided to follow it. But as they ventured further ahead, they knew that their troubles were far from over. Olivia Cooper was waiting for them around the bend and she didn't seem too happy about them entering her domain. At that instant, Captain Ethan realized that their only option was to fight. He immediately ordered his crew to arm themselves, and they prepared to face their enemy. Will the brave crew of Captain Ethan Miller be able to make it out alive? Stay tuned for more. As they slowly approached, the looming pirate ship came into view. It was a stark reminder of the danger that lay ahead. Further scanning informed this brave bunch of adventurers that Olivia Cooper was on board and she meant business. The crew had no other option but to prepare for a fight. They loaded their cannons and took up positions on the deck. With courage in their hearts, they set sail toward an impending battle with the infamous pirate Queen. Olivia sent a signal, demanding that Captain Ethan and his crew surrender. But the brave captain had a plan. He decided to ignore her ultimatum and ordered his men to fire at her ship. The battle raged on for hours until, finally, Olivia Cooper was defeated. The crew of the Adventurer was jubilant as they celebrated their victory over the infamous Pirate Queen. At last, they were free and could continue their journey without further problems. With a newfound sense of pride, Captain Ethan Miller and his courageous crew set sail for the horizon. The adventurer had made it through the stormy seas and enemy encounters unscathed and with a great story to tell. But they were yet to lay their hands on Queen. Chapter 4, Closer to the Treasure. The ship now took a north direction to relocate its original bearing. Miller was filled with excitement as he was confident that they were getting closer to the treasure. The team sailed for days, until finally, they noticed a small island in the distance. They immediately set sail for it and, soon enough, arrived at their destination. But not quite. They had arrived at an old and deserted island that seemed to be full of mysteries. There were no inhabitants, only the sound of waves and birds singing in the background. Captain Ethan knew that this was Olivia Cooper's hideout. He had heard stories about her secret island while they had been sailing around. He gathered his crew and instructed them to prepare for battle. As they ventured further, they noticed an old castle that was tucked away in the shadows of the forest. It seemed to be the perfect hideout for Olivia Cooper, and it was heavily guarded by her loyal minions. The brave crew of the adventurer cautiously ventured forward and eventually arrived at their destination. As they stepped inside the castle, they finally laid eyes on the king of the island. It was Meacham, Olivia Cooper's right-hand man. Meacham welcomed them and offered to help as long as they promised not to harm him or his crew. Captain Ethan agreed and Meacham revealed the location of the legendary treasure. The adventurer was now one step closer to fulfilling its mission. How much can they wait before they get hold of their treasure? Captain Ethan was wiser. He knew there was a catch. If Meacham and Olivia knew where the treasure was, then why hadn't they already taken it? "Old man," he said, "what is the catch? I know that there must be something keeping you from taking the treasure yourself." Meacham smiled and replied, "Well, Captain Ethan, it's not so easy as that. You see, the legendary treasure is cursed. It's protected by a powerful spell, an ancient one with no known countermeasures. The only way to get past it is with the help of a powerful enough magical artifact." Captain Ethan and his crew were intrigued, but also concerned. What sort of artifact would they need? Would they even be able to find one? It seemed like an impossible task. But, as always, Captain Ethan was determined to fulfill his mission. He turned to Isabella, nodding his head with encouragement, and said, "Let's get to work. We'll find a way to break this curse." But again, the old king added, "You must remember to be careful. The artifact you acquire is the key to unlocking the treasure and you do not want to make a mistake." "Is there a way to identify an original artifact?" Isabella asked. The old man smiled, "Yes indeed. Every magical artifact will have a unique marking or inscription on its surface that identifies it as an original." Now they had the information they needed and could begin their search for the mysterious magical artifact. But where would they look? How were they going to find it? Chapter 5, Uncovering Secrets. The captain called Max Garcia to the side. "You are a skilled blacksmith, Max," he said. "Is it possible to design something that resembles the artifact we need? We could cheat our way through this." Max smiled and nodded. "Yes, Captain Ethan. I can definitely make something that looks like the original artifact. But we need to find more information about it and its markings first." The crew decided to go back to Meacham for more information about the magical artifact. After several hours of questioning, the old man finally revealed the identity of an ancient wizard who could give them a magical clue as to how to find the artifact. "But if that were true, why haven't you gone for it?" Captain Ethan asked. Meacham sighed, "Because the ancient wizard is a rival. I know I cannot defeat him because he uses magic and I rely on weapons. Fighting him is like fighting the wind, it is always changing and you cannot prepare to fight it." The crew thanked Meacham for his help and headed off toward the ancient wizard's location. It was a journey and beyond. After hours of traveling, they arrived at a clearing in the forest where they saw an old man with long white hair standing on top of a hill. He was the ancient wizard. He looked suspicious. However, Ethan knew the secret. He called his musician, Owen Reyes. He hummed a tune that the old wizard could recognize and replied, "Ah, so you have heard the tune of my past. You know I will give you what you seek if you can prove to me that your intentions are true." The captain took a step forward and said, "We come in peace. We need help finding an artifact to break a powerful charm." The wizard laughed mockingly. He pulled out the artifact from his loin, but he swore not to give it to them. "This is the secret key to my wealth. You cannot have it. Now, disappear before I curse you all," he said. The crew took a step back and started to leave. The blacksmith told Captain Ethan, "Don't worry, I can make something like the artifact we need. It won't be exactly the same, but it should do the job." The captain nodded, relieved that they had another plan. They all gathered around Max while he crafted a replica of the magical artifact and were surprised at how quickly and accurately he was able to create it. But will it work? Stay tuned as we slowly unravel this mystery. Chapter 6, Reaching the Ultimate Prize. After the blacksmith made the replica artifact, the crew left for the treasure, Queen. They traveled for days and nights until they reached their destination. They found soldiers all around the castle, but they all looked hungry. Why did they look so starved? How can such a rich kingdom be so poor? Meanwhile, he crafted a trick to get into the castle with the treasure. He asked Maria Gomez, the cook, to prepare a big feast. However, she had to put some sleeping pills into the food. The captain and his crew carried the basket of food to the soldiers guarding the castle. At first, they were suspicious, but as soon as they smelled the aroma of cooked food, their eyes widened and their mouths watered. They quickly accepted the food without any questions. After eating, everyone slept off into a deep slumber. The captain and his crew took advantage of the situation to get into the castle, unnoticed. They found their way to the hidden treasure room. But there was another challenge. One soldier was standing next to the box. But he was stronger than those outside. He seemed to have been strength training and eating well. Also, he had a spear and shield with him. But, what? Mumbled the captain. Just then, Isabella, the financier, came up with a plan. She knew that these soldiers were not paid for their work. They were slaves. She took 3 bundles of banknotes and threw them at the soldier. She took a 4th bundle and untied it and threw the notes into the air. That soldier was very tempted by the money, so he started grabbing the money as it fell in all directions. He lost focus and let go of his weapons. The captain quickly grabbed the weapons and they tied the soldier. They took back their money and the blacksmith was able to unlock the box without trouble. Will they get home with the treasure? Chapter 7, The Return Journey. The mission was successful. It was now about planning the journey back home. The crew had to plan their trip carefully since they were carrying abundant treasure. They did not want to fall into the hands of pirates. Jackson Collins, the navigator, led the way. He was experienced in plotting routes around dangerous waters. He knew which areas to avoid and where to sail through safely. As they sailed, they were careful to keep their eyes open for danger. The return journey took 3 weeks. The food on their ship was running low, so they had to be creative with their meals. Fortunately, everyone enjoyed the diversified cooking of Maria Gomez and ate heartily. Whatever challenges they met, they were determined to get home with Queen, their ultimate prize. Finally, the ship sailed into port and everyone cheered. They had made it. But the mission is yet to end. There is still a lot to do now that they are home. They had to keep the treasure safe and distribute it amongst themselves. Another trouble arose. Isabella claimed that her financing was the reason they were able to reach their goal. She argued that she deserves a bigger share of the treasure than anyone else. What would they do? Captain interrupted, "No way. I was the leader and I am responsible for the success of our mission. I will take the largest portion." The blacksmith shouted, "But I unlocked the box. I should get a bigger share of the treasure." This quarrel went on and on. Everyone wanted to be recognized. Finally, it was the cook that calmed them all. She suggested that they the treasure evenly. Everyone agreed and stopped arguing. They took their equal parts of the treasure and said their goodbyes. But the local people had heard about their success and soon the news spread far and wide. The captain, his crew, and Isabella became famous adventurers in their region. The brave deeds that they had accomplished will be remembered forever. The end. The moral of the story: it is always a good idea to work together and share the credit when embarking on an adventure. Teamwork makes the dream work.